What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. We start off today with a whole sorbent of news, particularly tied to the Russia and Ukraine conflict that has been unfolding over the past week. This is a very important topic of discussion, obviously because this is real-world events that are taking place in real time and are still ongoing. This is stuff that's killing people actively and is causing mass disruption in the world, and I feel, deem, and regard it very imperative that I get this right information. You know, that I'm getting information correct and making sure I get all the details correct and being able to call out misinformation when I see it. So I will be linking all of my sources for this video and future videos on this topic down below, some of which are archived, of course, along with the primary source that I'm getting all of my other sources, details, and information from right now, as well as even a live interactive map and updated website for you guys to look at if you're interested in finding out any new information that's breaking about this situation beyond the video as you are watching this right now. As you guys know, again, this is a real-world situation, an ongoing real-world situation, which means that as it's unfolding, information is subject to change, new information will also be emerging as it happens, old information becomes obsolete, and I will be able, of course, to update you guys on any live information as I'm recording, and after I stop recording, or as this video is uploaded, new information is basically going to be updated in a pinned comment down below in this video, and to my Twitter page at Axiom, that is AXY0M, via retweets from credible sources. There will also be more updates to the situation on the channel in future videos, so be sure you're subscribed and that you have the notification bell rung to stay updated. And on top of that, all new information coming out will also be updated by the sources that I've linked as well. This is not MSM, legacy media, CNN, MSNBC type bullshit. These are credible sources. These are people who have years worth of experience in the news industry. This is not like legacy media disinfo or anything like that, which I will get into later on. So a lot of things have actually happened within the past week and a half since my last upload. Multiple takeovers from Russia have already been taking place as we speak, including in Ukraine's capital city of Kyiv, as well as in other major cities like Kharkiv, which is Ukraine's second largest city. The Chernobyl exclusion zone, even, is currently under Russian occupation. Several strategic locations are all currently under Russian occupation. Fighting still continues despite peace talks going on between both sides, with no signs of the fighting slowing down. At one point, the Russians blew up a nuclear plant out in Ukraine, developing a panic that another Chernobyl-like fallout would happen yet again, accusing Russia of nuclear war. Obviously, I will be getting into the hysteria of that from the legacy media, but a lot of things have been happening throughout this past week involving Russia and Ukraine, so this is just a little bit of a TLDR as to what has been happening since my last upload. First, I would like to also point out that Lindsey Graham is a fucking nutcase and a complete idiot. So Lindsey Graham goes out on Twitter and tweets, "Is there a Brutus in Russia? Is there a more successful Colonel Stauffenberg in the Russian military? The only way this ends is for somebody in Russia to take this guy out. You would be doing your country and the world a great service." Think what you will about Putin. I personally think that Putin is like our modern day Napoleon, and believe me, that is not a compliment. I studied and learned about the Napoleonic War while in AP World History, but I have a hunch that that would not dilute the situation whatsoever. I have a feeling that that would make the situation worse, because then the Russians would go out and massacre a bunch of Ukrainians, a genocide would take place as a result, totally hardline the West, probably going after fuel and other resources, probably start World War III. By the way, remember this acronym that started World War I, MANIA, the 5 causes of World War I: militarism, alliances, nationalism, imperialism, and an assassination. So Lindsey Graham should actually pick up a history book before making claims about assassinating Putin. Again, you've already got huge concerns regarding that, so that's just a crazy idea. And only an idiot would suggest something like that. But I mean, Lindsey Graham was the lover of John McCain, the same guy who made claims about starting wars with other countries during his 2008 election campaign, which costed him a presidency, by the by. Remember that, John McCain? Him making claims about war was one of the reasons why he lost to Barack Obama to begin with. Lindsey Graham, all in all, is no different from that. Everybody in South Carolina are war hawks. Lindsey Graham, Nikki Haley, Tim Scott to a degree, Nancy Mace. South Carolina, may I ask why you keep electing these moron warhawks into your state? Something seems to be off with your GOP. South Carolina, please take note. I mean, you also have Adam Kinzinger, who is also claiming that we should put a no-fly zone over Ukraine. Again, this would not deflame the situation whatsoever. And even, no surprise, Dan Crenshaw is calling for more interventionism in Ukraine. I mean, nothing against Dan Crenshaw personally. I think he's a cool guy, cool looking with the pirate-looking eye patch. Former Afghan veteran. We thank him for his service, but let's face it, he's a rhino. Anyway, we also got to talk about multiple pieces of misinformation here. As mentioned earlier, there's a ton of misinformation going around involving the Russia-Ukraine war. We have a huge amount of disinfo from the legacy media. Again, link in the description with regards to the situation. I am linking all of my sources in the description down below. As mentioned earlier, you had, for example, claims that the other day when Russian troops attacked the nuclear plant outside of Ukraine and that the plant was ready to melt down and become the next Chernobyl. And of course, that turned out not to be the case. That nuclear plant that was attacked is currently, as of recording, in stable condition. Haze of war and confusion and panic is obviously part of this. Anyway, let's get straight into the main topic of this video, which is Russia and cancel culture. Now, obviously, I'm against cancel culture. I am 100% against cancel culture. And of course, the average American is also against cancel culture. That seems like a no-brainer, because when you really think about what cancel culture is, like normally when you think of cancel culture, you think of somebody says something or does something stupid and wrong and immoral, and they get their show canceled, they lose all their sponsors, their products no longer get sold, they lose their job opportunities, their life is basically ruined, people cancel them. Now obviously, there's a link in the description to Keemstar's video where he talks about Russia getting canceled, and there are a boatload of examples of this happening, of how Russia is getting canceled. And what I'm seeing right now as a result of this Russia-Ukraine war, this is peak cancel culture. I mean, it's almost kind of awkward that cancel culture is what's being used against Russia to support Ukraine. I mean, you got to think about this. Let's keep things $1.50 here. There are influencers, celebrities, commentators, gamers, and Twitch streamers, a ton of these people that are Russian. They can't get paid anymore. They're all working for free. They can't get donations from PayPal. They can't get money from YouTube monetization. They can't get any donations from Twitch. They might not be able to use any of these sites anymore or get paid anymore. They can't do anything because of the sanctions and boycotts put in place. PayPal suspended service in Russia, so they can't get paid. And on top of that, Visa and MasterCard also ceased operations in Russia, so they can't buy anything while in Russia. The Russian soccer team cannot compete in the World Cup in Qatar this year because they're Russian. The Russian hockey team cannot compete in the IIHF World Championship because they're Russian. Sorry guys, I guess you can't see Nikita Kucherov and Alex Ovechkin play together. Russian tennis players can't compete because they're Russian. Russian gamers and pro teams cannot compete in esports because they're Russian. Russian Formula 1 racers can't race because they're Russian. If I remember correctly, I believe Haas, Mercedes, and Red Bull, to name a few, kicked a few guys out for being Russian. Like, people are getting banned left and right. Russian news outlets are all getting banned. I mean, watch Keemstar's video, and there's a bunch of examples of this. All these companies are pulling out of Russia. Apple is no longer selling their products in Russia. Your iPhone won't work in Russia anymore. For a better part of a week, Coke and McDonald's were getting a bunch of shit for still continuing to sell in Russia, and after days of complaining and backlash, they finally pulled all their businesses out of Russia. At least the obesity rate in Russia will drop about 1,000%, so consider that a positive. How about that? They took Putin's black belt away from him. He had like this black belt in karate or taekwondo. They just stripped him from it. There were discussions going on about taking away championship titles from Russian fighters like Khabib simply because they're Russians. These are all just a few examples of Russia getting canceled over the war in Ukraine. I know I listed a lot of examples, but these are just a few examples compared to the boatloads of cancellations and bans that Keemstar mentions and the ones that are even still ongoing to this day. Like, Russia invades Ukraine and declares war. Russia, you're canceled. Like, I just saw a tweet that Boeing is no longer going to give any updates of maintenance or service to any Russian airline, and I believe Airbus will also follow suit with this as well. When you really think about it, this is, in fact, cancel culture. And here's like one of the more funnier stories about this whole cancel culture. I don't know if Key mentioned this in his video, but if he didn't, he should have, because this is like one of my favorite examples. So supposedly there was like this pub out in Toronto, or I believe Ottawa, if I remember correctly, that literally changed the name of poutine because it sounds too much like Putin. Some restaurants even went as far as taking it off the menu entirely for that reason. I know you might look at me weird for, enjoying a Canadian food that is basically nothing but cheese fries with gravy and sometimes chili. I actually enjoy poutine. I have it multiple times when I'm out watching hockey games. They sell like hotcakes at NHL arenas. Reason seems pretty obvious. Might not be very palatable looking, but it's delicious nonetheless. But why rename the dish or take it off your menu because it's similar to a world leader that you don't like and is also a war criminal? Especially if it's one of your national dishes. Kind of a bit laughable, don't you think? Now, the real question is, do I support this? Well, I'm seeing a lot of people champion this as much as possible. Most of these people are on the left. And I'm also seeing others saying that this is wrong and we shouldn't be doing this. My personal opinion on this is that I'm kind of a bit mixed on it. I do support punishing Russia for what they're doing to Ukraine, a sovereign country, but I do not, and I mean do not, support attacks on Russians around the world even though they have nothing to do with what's going on. I'm ironically for all of this. I mean, Keemstar and Optimus are for it too, this whole Russia is getting canceled. But at the same time, you do realize that there is a line that we shouldn't cross, but we basically did already anyway. Like, I feel bad for a lot of Russians that can't compete in sports anymore because of what their country is doing, and they should all feel pissed off in response. Don't blame yourselves. Don't blame us. Blame your government for invading a sovereign country. You see, this is exactly what we should be doing to China in actuality. Real question is, why aren't we canceling them? I mean, they run Uyghur camps, enslave Muslims, and force them to build things for us, including your iPhone, by the way, and the new iPads that just got announced. They've taken over Hong Kong. They might be on the verge of taking over Taiwan with the help of Russian-Chinese brotherhood and camaraderie. Well, I do support this cancel culture that Russia is getting because of the sanctions and all that. And the same thing should happen to China. As a matter of fact, China deserves it way more than Russia. The fact that Russians on the internet are now being discriminated against is absolutely ridiculous. It's one thing to punish Russia for what they're doing in the world, and it's a totally different thing to discriminate somebody from their country just because their diaspora's government is running amok. It reminds me a lot of the World War I shit when they were banning German education and discriminating against German Americans when fighting against the Germans. You're not allowed to speak out against it because the Espionage Act prevents you from speaking out. This also happened in World War II, where FDR literally put Japanese people in internment camps after the bombing of Pearl Harbor. And I've pointed this out the other day. That's basically like they're banning Russian vodka right now. Now, I don't support cancel culture. This is literally cancel culture, obviously. So obviously, I have the right to speak out against it at some point. There are obviously a lot of talented Russians out there. I think No Fuckers is a great YouTuber, and I've been watching his content for 6 years. I loved watching Khabib Nurmagomedov go through an undefeated season. I loved seeing the Washington Capitals succeed and Ovi finally winning a cup. He's already tied with Jaromir Jagr with goal scoles, and he might be the first NHL player to hit 1,000 goals. The back-to-back Stanley Cups from Tampa Bay and Nikita Kucherov getting drunk out of his mind.
Fans in Montreal, come on. They acted like they won the Stanley Cup last game. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
Even though I'm still salty about this because I'm a Panthers fan, and we're gonna win that cup this year, and Igor Shesterkin is on par to win a Vezina this season. But you gotta feel sorry for these people after what they're going through, and I've noticed it's starting to affect them. And I don't blame you. I'm sorry what your country is doing to Ukraine right now, but you have no right to feel guilty. Especially your country's government has the right to suffer, but you yourselves, just ignore all the discrimination you're facing and keep working hard. I don't support any of these people getting canceled because of where they're from. I don't support cancel culture in general, but do I support this cancel culture on Russia? Technically, yes, because again, Russia is an authoritarian regime. That is not an opinion, that is a fact. The invasion of Ukraine is wrong. That is not an opinion, that is a fact. Ukraine is a sovereign country that doesn't deserve to be invaded or bombed to smithereens, where people, Russians and Ukrainians alike, are suffering. But going as far as attacking people who are Russian is absurd. Like No Fuckers is getting a ton of hate because he's Russian. This dude has nothing to do with what's going on in Ukraine. This is the same sort of freakish, hyperbolic, far-fetched knee-jerk reaction that only results from being cascaded with propaganda. And unfortunately, some people are naturally NPCs. Some people don't normally get offended or triggered by things until the legacy media tells them that they should be triggered. All of these people who are calling for literal discrimination towards Russians, they can't even find Ukraine on a map. This is exactly why myself, Optimus, and independent commentators all link our sources down in the description during this real-world event. Because the real enemy, when a real-world event that is serious like this is going on, is misinformation that goes around. Now, do I still support Russia being banned from certain sporting events? I still obviously do. Russia is an authoritarian regime. That is a fact, not an opinion. I also support China being banned from certain sporting events as well, because it's a similar regime. China is also an authoritarian regime. That is a fact, not an opinion. Now, do I support Russian people being attacked just because they're Russian, all because of a war going on in Ukraine? No. It's one thing to condemn and sanction a country for war crimes, and it's a totally different thing to ban people because they're Russian. That's why I don't like the idea when people discriminate against Chinese people over COVID because it came from a lab in Wuhan. It's the Chinese government's fault that COVID became a pandemic, not the Chinese people. I feel bad for a lot of Russian Americans living here right now. I feel sorry for Russians in general. The Russian people need to speak out against their leader and acknowledge that this is, in fact, wrong. This invasion is wrong. It's bad for the people. It's bad for your own people. It's bad for the people living in this country. It's bad for their economy, and it's bad for your economy. And this is affecting you because you can't compete in sports or be featured in NHL or FIFA because of your government. I hope that one day in response to all this, we see athletes like Khabib, Kucherov, and Ovechkin just renounce their citizenships and protest against Putin and this war, and all of these sanctions that they're getting as a result. I know that's probably not going to happen, but at what point are these people going to still speak out against this? Even the cancel culture is affecting us right now with all the sanctions and ban on Russian oil. Look what's happening to the gas prices. It's on a complete vertical uptick at this moment. I spent $5 per gallon on gas this week. I just got back spending almost $100 at Wawa. Maybe this wouldn't be a problem if we were energy independent and not getting oil from different countries. Please take note, sovereign nations, especially North America and Western Europe. This is what Trump did, by the way. He sanctioned Iran. Remember the time he sanctioned Iran? We used to be dependent on oil from Iran, especially around the Obama era. And under Trump, we were energy independent. The media was going out saying, oh, the sanctions are going to hurt our oil prices. People are going to spend more. $100 for an apple that's supposed to cost 25 cents. Or $75 for lemonade that's supposed to cost 5 cents. According to the kids' lemonade stand across the street, gas prices remain the same. No inflation, no economic downturn. That's why the sanctions didn't affect us. As we were sanctioning a country for wrongdoings, oil prices stayed the same, and it did not suffer because of our energy independence. Maybe this whole economic downturn that we're suffering wouldn't be such a problem if we were energy independent. Hint, hint. Funnily enough, everybody said that prices were going to go up on everything because of Trump and all the tariffs that he was putting on China and all these countries. Nothing seemed to happen. Under President Biden, on the other hand, prices of everything are going up right now. Not just gas. Everything is going up on price. Ever Given blocking the Suez Canal. Colonial Pipeline gets hacked and we still don't know anything about that situation. Although China or Russia may play a role into it. Shipping crisis in the West Coast. Supply chain crisis that is still going on to this day. And now all of this is worsening because of the chaos in Russia and Ukraine. Orange Man, by the way, warned you about this. Unfortunately, you kept laughing at him and calling him the devil. Look what's happening now. Care to explain? Anyway, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys enjoyed, be sure to hit that like button down below. And if you're new around here, be sure to subscribe to the channel and ring the little notification bell. Be sure to follow me on all my social medias. Links are in the description below. Again, as I said in the beginning of the video, this whole Russia-Ukraine conflict is a real-world situation, so I will be posting future updates about this situation on all my social medias, as well as even on videos on this channel, so updates will be coming on this video as well, which that means if you want to stay updated about the Russia-Ukraine drama on my channel, make sure you are subscribed and make sure those notifications are turned on to stay up to date. Russia is obviously getting canceled for all of this because they're literally declaring war on a sovereign country. As this story is unfolding, there is going to be a ton of new updates involving this situation, and you don't want to miss every single one of them. So be sure you're subscribed with the notifications turned on. And of course, most importantly, there are also 3 other links in the description to other video hosting sites that I use. Keep in mind that there will be exclusives on those sites that I feel don't fit on YouTube. So be sure to check out those sites as well if you don't want to miss out on all the exclusive content that I have on there. So not all of my content is going to be on YouTube. That's why I have all 3 links down in the description below. So be sure to follow me on BitChute, Rumble, and Odyssey. I will have some exclusive content there momentarily, but again, this real world situation that is going on, if there's any major developments in this situation, I will be able to update you immediately on this channel. So again, make sure you are subscribed with the notifications turned on. Make sure notifications are set to all and not personalized, just to get the full updates. So again, as always, like, subscribe, ring the notification, and make sure it's set to all. And until then, take care, talk soon, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.